So I was born in Los Angeles, Santa Monica to be exact, but now I live in Portland, Oregon, and I think it's better. And in this video, I'm gonna try to tell you why I think that. I'll be talking about some of the differences between living in Los Angeles and Portland, and hopefully by the end of this video, you will have an idea of why I personally chose to move here and see whether or not it makes sense for you to make that move yourself, okay? All right, so I lived in West LA for about 10 years in my adult life, and I absolutely loved so many things about it, but also got tired of some of the things too. So from personal experience, I know exactly why someone might want to move away from LA. But first, if you clicked on this video because you're thinking of making a move to Portland, or somewhere in your subconscious mind you had a thought about moving up to Portland and YouTube picked up on that, my team would absolutely love to help with that. It's our specialty to help people buy their dream homes up here in Portland and get settled from wherever, not just LA, but anywhere in the world. And we're hearing from people all the time and we absolutely love it. So before you forget, whether it's the middle of the night or the middle of the day when you're watching this, before you click away to some other video that's being recommended to you, make sure you simply reach out to us via call, text, or email. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you to Portland and when you'd like to be here. And just remember that whether you're moving in the near or far distant future, we'd love to receive that call from you and help you move up to Portland or any of the wonderful Portland suburbs. Talk soon. Now, if you're anything like me, you might be sick of the endless traffic or the fact that everyone's trying to be famous, the smog in all directions, and just the sheer size of that massive city. I felt pretty bogged down when I was living in LA with the cost of living, but even more so the fact that it took an overwhelming amount of time to get anywhere in the city that wasn't within my immediate area. You live in Santa Monica, but your friend invites you to their show in Silver Lake. Not happening, pal. I'd rather wait 45 minutes in line at Bay Cities for a sandwich, am I right? Or maybe you live in West LA and you have some friends that invited you for drinks in Studio City. Guess we're not friends with them anymore. Also, aside from it being difficult getting anywhere in the city, it's also hard to escape the city. Like, there's 18 million people there and you can feel it, you know? You have to drive a ridiculously long time to be in any kind of immersive nature. It just feels like a giant spider web that you're stuck in being in LA. And so I had done some traveling and had heard of this place called Portland, but I had no idea what it was like until I had passed through and actually stayed here with a friend of mine. He lived in North Portland in a neighborhood called Boise, or the Mississippi neighborhood. We were hanging out at his house, just kind of catching up, and he suggested we go for a walk. We were just kind of hanging out at his place, catching up, and he lived on a quiet street where there was a bunch of nice homes, and then he eventually suggested we go out for a walk. So I was like, for sure, let's go. We walked outside, went up one street, and walked 1 block over to Mississippi Avenue, and I was blown away. There was so much going on up and down this street. Bars that served great food all night, shops that weren't open at the time, stores, restaurants, a great music venue that has nationally touring acts, coffee spots, grocery. It was all just right there in one place. It just wasn't something that I was used to because in LA, it's a given that you basically just have to drive everywhere. Even downtown LA is massive, isn't it? So the thing that blew me away so much about Portland was just how close everything felt. The businesses, the homes. It just felt like all the fun, cool, necessary stuff that you got to do on a daily basis was right there in the neighborhood, mixed in with all the homes. So I was like, oh cool, my friend happens to live in this one cool area of Portland. This must be like the downtown area of Portland. Well, in Portland, the thing that you need to understand is that there are 95 neighborhoods and each one of them has its own little bit of character and a street that almost feels like a downtown area with everything that you need. And obviously the other thing about Portland that is different from LA is its size. If you're only talking about the actual city limits, the city of Portland is roughly 5 times smaller than Los Angeles. Hello, 15 minutes to drive anywhere? Yes, please. You can drive from one end of the city all the way to the other in about the same amount of time that it takes to drive from Santa Monica to Venice. That's crazy. Each neighborhood is almost like its own little town because some of them, for example, Selwood or St. John's, actually were their own town at one point. This is what surprised surprises people the most about Portland every single time they come from the context of living in LA. What surprises them is the fact that it doesn't really feel like a big city. It just feels like a chill town, but a town that is not lacking at all in amenities. And if you want to venture over to a different neighborhood, you can do that pretty easily. That's one of the main reasons why I love living here so much. I personally live in a neighborhood called Richmond, and within about a block and a half, there are so many cool spots to walk to, including some super bomb food options. This is just one slice of Portland though. There's many others like this up and down Division Street, Hawthorne, Belmont, Stark, Alberta, Foster, Woodstock, and the list goes on. Just always feels like a perfect mix of quiet and happening wherever you go in Portland. Like I mentioned before though, the city is full of life. The amount of nature in and out of the city makes LA look like a barren wasteland. There's 200 parks spread across the whole city of Portland, some of which like Forest Park, Mount Tabor Park, Laurelhurst Park, Powell Butte Nature Park are all massive nature areas. They're basically mini forests in the middle of the city. Well, Forest Park isn't actually mini, it's 5,000 acres of forests, trails, creeks. It's awesome. If you want to go camping or a true hike, there's many spots you can do that within an hour. A couple weekends ago, I decided to take my son camping and found a spot 50 minutes away. That was just nice. But if you go beyond 1 hour, the limits are basically endless for outdoor activities. Whether you like to go fishing, camping, hiking, rock climbing, backpacking, skiing in the winter, surfing out at the coast, those can all be one of your hobbies if you're living here in Portland. It's also, unlike Los Angeles, one of the most bike-friendly cities in all of America, which I know is kind of hard to wrap your head around as an Angelino because biking around LA is insane and a terrible idea. We have a system of greenways here that are quiet residential streets designated just for bikes that can connect you pretty much anywhere in the city. Some of the other big obvious differences are that we don't have as much professional sports in Portland compared to LA. We do have the NBA, so of course the Lakers will come up here a couple times a year to play the Trailblazers, and also the Portland Timbers are here, so if you're a soccer fan, you'll be able to see them play against the Galaxy, I don't know, I think once or twice a year. If you crave any other sports like baseball, for example, you're gonna have to go up to Seattle for pro sports, though we do have a minor league team, as well as the Portland Pickles, and that's always fun. Okay, let me see, what am I missing here? LA definitely has some pretty amazing diversity, that's for sure. It's a hugely international city, and you can find cuisine from pretty much anywhere in the world somewhere in the city. You don't have quite as many options here in Portland, though I think you'll find the available options for Vietnamese food, Mexican, or even sushi are pretty good. So for all of you analyticals, let's dive into some statistical data about Portland and Los Angeles. Portland has a population of roughly 650,000, or right around 2 million if you factor in all the suburbs. And Los Angeles has a population of 4 million, or 18 million and change if you factor in the entire greater LA area. The cost of living is about 26% higher in Los Angeles versus Portland. I'm not going to dive into too much detail, but one of the biggest advantages to living in Portland compared to Los Angeles is the fact that home prices are significantly lower in Portland than LA. You can buy a pretty amazing house in a great area for a fraction of the cost that you would spend in LA. If you want to dive in a little bit deeper on the cost of living in Portland, I'll leave a link down below in the description for you to do that. When it comes to weather, I think this is where LA might have Portland beat. So if you are someone that loves to have clear skies and sunny weather most of the year, there are right around 150 to 160 rainy days per year in Portland, whereas Los Angeles only has about 30 or 40. That's a pretty big difference, and if it scares you away, well, good. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But the trade-off is that you get much more fresh air and more plant life, and that is where I believe that Portland can't even be compared to LA. The landscape in LA just feels dead, whereas the landscape in Portland and just the Pacific Northwest in general is teeming with life. Portland's not going to be for everyone, and the weather just might be a deal breaker for many people. So before you pack your bags and move up here, I'd recommend learning about the weather a little bit more, just so that you can make sure it's something that you can handle. So click on this video next that I made about the weather here, and we'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.